Welcome to the session. This is our last plenary meeting, as you know, and we will be presenting the new network that was born in Alastria. It's with the collaboration of the Community of Madrid, and yeah, it's something that born based on the things that we learned from the networks that we created in the last several years. As you may remember, we did this presentation at the beginning of your path here in OC5. But since this presentation is open, not all of you have seen this. So let me introduce first Alastria, but let me start with the speakers today that we have today in this session. We have Maria Ruiz, Antonio Sotomayor, and Miguel Calero. They will be presenting themselves later in their part, but we will have another speaker later, Miguel Gomez. He's in another meeting, but we hope he can jump in the presentation today, and that's his part. Okay. Okay, let's start with this presentation. What is Alastria? Well, as you know, many of you have been deploying your projects in our networks. Alastria is a public permission network. It's also a multi-sector blockchain platform that connects companies, academia, and public administration to drive responsible adoption aligned with regulation. And this is what we try. Our focus or our aims is based on these different sectors or points. We try to build a democratized access to the blockchain technology. We try to support the networks and our members because our association is built by many different companies. And always the focus is to strengthen the technology and to spread the word of blockchain. Okay? Here you can check several numbers or figures that we have. As you can see, many members, and these members are companies, for you to know. Most of them are SMEs, as you can see. We have different nationalities, but our networks are both the main network that we have, because you can see we have 2+1, but the networks are deployed in Europe. Then that's one of the most important things that we have, because the companies needs to be also deploying the use cases in Europe. So this is one of the main things that you will need to be considering if you want to deploy also in ISBE. You can see we have several use cases, more than 60. We have more than 40 public administration involved, and we are working in different working groups, as you may see. By sector, we have different sectors. This is in Spanish because it's taken from another presentation, but you can check that IT is the most sector that the companies are working with. And here you can see public administration, associations, foundations, technological occupations, and this is university and academia. Okay. These dates is from this last summer, but you can think about the wide of this association in Spain. Well, not only in Spain, in Europe. Okay, one of the other important things that we are giving in Alastria is the identity part, and we try with different initiatives and different projects, as you can see, and we try to be compliant with a lot of standardization models here. And this is also one of the pillars that you will check later in the ISBE presentation. We try to create one identity manager. It's called Alastria ID, and yeah, it may be hard to deploy, but several of you have been implementing in your projects, and it's trying to spread more during the age of our networks. This is one of the the screens that you can see the relevant position that Alastria has in different associations. And this is the formula for our networks, okay? But well, I don't want to take too much time in this presentation. This is the foundation of our networks. As you can see, we have the public permissioned method that we have the benefits from the public networks and also the benefits from private networks. If you are in this ecosystem, in the blockchain ecosystem, you know what that means. We have an open infrastructure, but you need to be identified. So it's decentralized, of course, and all of the companies run your own node. If you are taking part in Trustchain, probably you have an endpoint as an API key to deploy your work. But if you take part in Alastria, you need to deploy your own network to deploy your smart contract, etc. We have the benefit of not having a gas fees. This is one of the things that you pay by having your own network. You don't need to pay gas fees. And we have several validator nodes and a lot of regular nodes. It depends of the use case that you want to deploy or you want to run. You should, or we recommend you one on another. Our two networks, the older one was released in January 19. It's based on Quorum. It has more than 200 regular nodes, as you can see. And this was the fundamental or the first network that create Alastria as this is today. But yeah, a few years later in 2022, we created the Hyperledger Besu network, the B network, and most of the companies are migrating their projects, or because Quorum is being deprecated, and we highly recommend to our partners to deploy in Besu. But this is important because ISBE, for example, is also based on Besu. So if you are already running something in Alastria, in the B network, you can easily migrate your project to our ISBE network. But if not, also, if you are running an EVM compatible network, you can deploy your smart contracts in ISBE. The use cases that we are running in Alastria are mostly based on notarization, but also identity, traceability, and tokenization. And yeah, as you can see, we have a variety of applications. And this is very important. What we learn from our networks in this legacy that we have, this is also creating the fundamentals, the pillars, or the most important things that we consider to be new or attached in ISBE network. So, for example, the privacy, the legal compliance. This is one of the main pillars that our colleagues will tell you later. But this is also creating the fundamentals of the ISBE network, the new network that we are creating nowadays. Well, we spent the last year creating the network, and it's now released. And this presentation is exactly for that. As I mentioned before, ISBE is part of a collaboration with Madrid City Council, the Community of Madrid, and Alastria, and that's the reason because behind we are presenting this from Alastria. We think this may be really relevant for you because the regulation is one of the main pain points that we have in the blockchain ecosystem, and having this kind of network is very beneficial for all of the projects. Okay. Okay. Second. Okay, this is the vision from ISBE. It's a national framework to accelerate public-private projects on Hyperledger Besu. As I mentioned, and it's strengthening technology sovereignty and offering a secure and flexible public permissioned infrastructure, as I mentioned. This is the strategic objective that ISBE is having at this point. The three major ideas is to be aligned with European regulations, the positioning and stronger security and trust, and also support by digital identity, one of the major things that we will have in today's presentation. This infographic, I just will highlight that the design is built around 10 different attributes, and the team will explain to you later, but you can see it's open source, it's regulatory compliance, it's also based on public and private collaboration. This is very important, and that's the reason that is behind the regulatory compliance and the identity compliance. Okay, this is more or less the scope on the layers, and you can see ISBE is a public-private initiative based in Europe, government, Community of Madrid, and Alastria. Okay. With it, this is a production-ready network. It's operational at this point, and services is you will find an SLA in the network and a strong compliance and trust layer. Okay. The multi-network architecture, a bare network with maximum compliance and use case networks with more flexibility. Always having in mind that this network will be compliant by design. GDPR, eIDAS, and additional requirements such as MiCA, DORA, NIS2, etc. We have a public-private collaboration plus public permissioned. This participatory public-private governance and permission model where the nodes are identified to ensure integrity and control over validation and authorization. Also important, this is a decentralized governance. And to be honest, we try to be low technical complexity, or the difficulties at least delegated to the core team. Okay. Also very important to be aligned with the European Green Deal. We have the carbon neutrality and also this technological sovereignty. ISBE aligns with the environmental goals, like carbon neutrality, and reinforce digital sovereignty and interoperability with EU initiatives. Resilience and open source. This is a robust network with robust operations. We will be monitoring, testing, and also providing you cybersecurity in the whole infrastructure. Also, it's very important that it's open source, so you can see internally how it's made. You will find the publication of nodes, APIs, smart contracts to enable auditability and contribution. And as you mentioned, it's already launched. We did it in the Q4 of the last year, and now the first use cases are deploying the network. So this is where ISBE begins, and I will give the floor to my colleagues to start their concrete presentation of the strengths of the ISBE network.
Okay, thank you very much, Pablo. Well, in this part of the talk, I want to focus a bit on an overview of ISBE, the decisions that have guided its architecture, and more or less the most important components. So in this full view, I'm not going to elaborate very much in this point because Pablo have already talked about the strategic decisions, but only reinforce the idea that the goal of ISBE alignment is to be a tool for institutions and for companies. So the idea of ISBE is work for institutions, be aligned with all the European initiatives, current and future European initiatives, and to convert Europe in a global reference in the world of blockchain. Sadly, Europe is lag behind in AI and in cloud, but we think that in blockchain we have a great leverage, and we can create an environment to improve the market in Europe. And most of all, the idea of that the security that we want to create is for example, we are going to talk about digital identity. We trust in this new information exchange that can be allowed by digital identity. And also the idea that is based not only technology, it also includes this governance model that allow companies, startup, public administration to use this network in a compliant way. Compliance is very relevant for us because we think that is the key to a lot of new use cases for the industry. And later, my colleague Miguel Gomez will talk about this network, but just a hint. As Pablo has already commented, sorry, we have two main networks in this moment. The idea of ISBE is not a blockchain network. ISBE is a network of networks. The idea ISBE is a system, and in this system, in this moment, there are two networks, but in the future, we can have any number of networks, always based on the same technology and on the same principle and the same design. In this moment, the Bear network is or compliance focus network. The idea is different network has different necessities. Each one is optimized for a different purpose. So the Bear network is a very simplified network. We are not going to allow a deployment of token. For example, it's very focus on identity and evidence. And he has a different elliptic curve. Maria later will talk about that. It's a different curve of the usual coverage curve where we found in Ethereum and all the EVMs that we know and love. But in this case, we thought that it was very important to create a network that could be very near of needs to very near of the of this compliance that could be in a future moment become QDLT. So in this network, smart contracts are deployed exclusively by ISBE and are ISBE owned and ISBE created. So it's a very minimal Bear network that could be like the idea is it will be the core of the future and present business networks. And talking about this business network, our second network is the ISBE use case network, or first business network that is more, so to say, convenience focus. It's a flexible network. It's fully EVM in the sense that we use the same curve, the coverage one that it's implemented in Ethereum, and you can use exactly the same tooling and the same tools that you usually have in your deployment. We in this case also we are the deployers, but we can deploy not only the ISBE contract, but contracts from our customers and our users with a token of our users, and it's most open, most flexible. The idea is to allow more flexibility and more innovation in this network. We also give some core services, as Pablo has seen, for time stamping and the factory of small contract. We will talk a lot about this later. So we want to accelerate the work our customer, of our user. Is GDPR compliant? Both networks are, and we talked about this too because it's very important for us. And this use case network, as all the future networks, will require a periodic anchoring to the bare network. So the bare network is some confluence of the security of all the networks. As all the work that we have created is open source, it's visible, is auditable for you to have the maximum confidence in the system. So in this moment, this is the network that will change. Well, like any good network, with the time we have the bare network with P256, and the use case network with the current coverage curve with a concentric architecture. You talk with the execution nodes that talks also know as regular nodes in the Alastria nomenclature. We talk of the execution node that talk with boot nodes that talk with this set of validator nodes that are in charge of creating and validating all the blocks. We also have, sorry, a network for archive in order to feed our block explorer, and this is one set for each one of the current networks. As we have also a network in pre-production and a development network with the same architecture and the same idea. All these networks are powered by that we call the ISBE client. The ISBE client is a piece that we have created, and it's the access point to the ISBE network, or to each ISBE network. The idea is that it's a filter, it's a control layer between this application and these nodes, and is the point when we can have this GDPR compliance that is fundamental for us. We need that if some authority, legal authority, a judge, a court, public administration ask for a transaction to be removed. Of course, we are in a blockchain network. We cannot remove any transaction, but we can hide it. And hide it is enough for being aligned with the regulation and be aligned with the law. So we can mark specific transaction not to be viewed. We can mark an entire contract or even methods inside this contract. We have all this tool in our disposal in order to be able to be compliant with the regulation and the law. So this information is registered in a smart contract in the blockchain with all the filters that the authorities have set or has asked us for set in the network. And this is the piece that ensures us regulatory compliance and give confidence and trust to any project that is going to be deployed in ISBE. This allows also, and later my colleague Miguel is going to talk more about that, to set a standard unmodified per ledger BESU, so we can keep pace with new releases, but we can get this thanks to this new layer above the per ledger BESU that is the ISBE client. This is the piece that give us this control and validator layer as I said. One of the pieces that is near to the client, near to the customer, when they approach ISBE is the portal. We have a portal with access to the developers. Later, Miguel Calero will talk about this onboarding to this portal. And at the moment you are in this portal, you have a series of services at your disposal. So, for example, you will have of course, a block explorer. We need this transparent network visibility. You can see everything that is happened in the network, all the transactions, all the blocks, business as usual. And also we give a service of blockchain as a service, a BaaS. So an ISBE, an Infura-like or Alchemy-like service that allows our user and customer to use the network without the need to deploy their own node. Of course, part of the idea of decentralization of the network is to allow our participants to be able to deploy a node, but it's not necessary. If you want, you can use our blockchain as a service network and use the necessity of deploy and maintain your own infrastructure. Another service is the faucet. ISBE is network that is based on a token. It's not a token that can be traded in any market. It's a token that is thought to be used exclusively for the paying of the cost of the network. And the design was very important for us to give this token the power to enhance the network security, preventing attacks. In case of a no-gas network, we wouldn't be able to provide. So you have a faucet. Depending on your subscription type, you can ask for a certain amount of tokens to interact with the network. And also we have this part of the smart contract. We have a wizard for creation of a fungible and non-fungible smart token. And you go to this path because you need a very simple token, a very standard token. You can deploy, as we say, with one click. But if you have the more typical use of the network, you have your own smart contract, your own use case, you can ask for a review, and our technical team reviews the smart code, the code of the smart contract, and deploy in the network. Also, we have a series of services for node management if you want to deploy your own node, and for GDPR management if you want to set some kind of incident in the network because you have found some problem in any personal data that can end in the network. You can use this management to set a new incident in the network. A very quick review of some screenshots in order you to grasp some of the work we have done here. Block Explorer is based on Block Scout, so you are very used to know that. Blockchain as a service, you can ask for an API key and you get a new endpoint, and you can interact with this endpoint from this point on. The faucet, you enter one wallet address that is under your control, and you can request token in order to be able to talk with this network. You can deploy your standard ERC20 token or ERC721 token, typical fungible or non-fungible token in the network via a simple wizard. You configure your token, you say you want it enable mid-table, and directly creates a token in the network. If you have your own use case, you can register your smart contract, to give us your GitHub repository. We check the code and we deploy in the selected network. If you have decided and assign or agreements for maintain an execution node and validator node or boot node, you can set it here in the portal too. You fulfill all the necessary information. You give us information about your machine or your virtual instance, and sign the policies, accept the policies, and you can submit your new node in order to be permissioned in the network. And as I said, some interfaces for you to report incidents. And the last part I want to talk is about the smart contracts. The smart contract is very important for us, so we have dedicated a lot of effort in this network. As you already know, the problem with the smart contract is a smart contract is unstoppable. They used to say in the blockchain Ethereum world, but this unstoppability is not go well with the regulation and with the law. So we need some centralization in order to be able to force this legal accountability. The regulators, we are talking with regulators, and needs to be able to action in the network is something that is very important for us. Not only give regulator visibility in the network, but also be able to have some agency in the network. As we have said, only ISBE can deploy contracts. In the use cases can be ISBE-owned contract or customer-owned contracts. And this contract must have some code, some mandatory code, in order to be able to be paused by an authority. So this allows our network to work under a regulatory framework that gives confidence to everything, to the companies, to the projects, and to the public administration and the courts. In this case, we have set this diamond pattern. I know you are familiar with AIP 2535. It's a pattern that allows us to set a governance diamond that is the main entry point to all the deployments in smart contract we have made. And this governance diamond offers some facets, as it's called in the diamond nomenclature, some facets to be set in the contracts for inherit pause, access control, and even in our code we can add in new functionalities. We now have an updatable smart contract via this diamond pattern. So each facet can be a feature, that can be a version, that can be audit, it can be approved. And we remove this contract size limit of 24K by smart contract that is typically of one of the enforcement of the UVMs. We allow this to be open and allow a smart contract of any size. So. Now, this, I should say, we have these implementations in the network. We have implemented RIC 20 standard and on NFTs standard, and the 3643, the famous T-Rex for securities. And also implementation of a hash timestamp. All this we want to provide our users as a service in order to leverage this position and to be able to be used as tools, or they are going to, that we can allow this acceleration of their projects. So with the smart contract, we get this legal informants, because ISBE can pose a legal transaction in seconds. We can add this extensibility, because new rules can be added as facets. And as we said, we don't have this contract size limit, and also we get a deep integration. And the roles and the access control of the smart contract can be tied to an EOA, or can be tied to an identity with the need of cryptographic keys. That is very important for us. And just leave you with the address of our smart contract with governance, Diamond governance smart contract that controls every code that we are deployed. We deploy this smart contract in the Genesis file, so we can got the luxury of this vanity fantastic smart contract address. That is our as I said, or main entry point of the governance of the network. And that's all. Thank you very much. And
Thanks.
I'm Miguel Gomez. Right now, I have the role of blockchain architect at Telefónica Tech, and I'm going to give you a briefly introduction about ISBE, about the architecture and technological decisions we have been deciding along the project. Okay. I want to take I want to get focused that ISBE is the Spanish blockchain service infrastructure. And I want to say this because we are not talking just about a blockchain, we are talking about blockchain and different services that are going to live all in the same place. So that is really important to understand how we have to develop, to deploy, and to put into production this project. Okay, so the main thing is that we treat ISBE as a platform of blockchain-based service, and this blockchain and this service, this platform, is going to be used for private and public regulation, regulatory focus environment. Okay, so. The first thing, I'm going to talk a little bit about the work strategy we did to get to the success of this project. We're going to later to see a little bit of the infrastructure, just a little bit from the like in airplane, okay? And then I'm going to be talking about hyperledger Besu, why we choose hyperledger Besu, and different things about it. Okay, so the working strategy. First of all, we have to understand that Alastria is a multi-partner consortium. That means that we are a lot of different partners. And the first thing we did was dividing the work into different specialized working groups. For example, some groups were like smart contracts, like Antonio was saying, also deployment, regulation, self-sovereign identity. We also have another working group of ISBE client and much more. Okay, so the first thing we did was assigning like the partner leader to each group based on the expertise of the partner. Okay, but that was getting us to a problem that was most of the times we were getting like really vertical work, and we need to get cross profiles. So that was why we start getting different people that was working in transversal roles, taking part in different multi-group groups, and that way we could get different context sharing, better alignment, higher agility, and less friction between the different groups, and making more agile the development. Okay, now we are going to see a little bit about infrastructure and strategy. Okay, the main thing is that, as I was saying, ISBE is a platform, and we want to understand it as that. So we start treating the different pieces of software as a workload. That we need to deploy on a Kubernetes infrastructure. Okay, if we could give a definition to the infrastructure of the cloud strategy of ISBE, is that we are talking about Kubernetes platform with Prometheus, Grafana, and Velero as services for the development of the workloads. This means that every service or every piece of software that is going to be deployed on Kubernetes has to have Prometheus, has to have Grafana, and has also have to have Velero. Prometheus is for the alarm, okay? When a node is down, when we have any problem with any type of transactions, we are going to know. Grafana is for having different dashboards, being able to see different data and take decisions knowing that data. And then we are going to use Velero. Of course, there are some services that they are not going to need any type of backup, but there are others like the Besu nodes or the ISBE nodes that are going to need that type of backups. Okay, so the main thing we want to set is as Kubernetes as the main second. As one DevOps of my team said once, was that he's a hammer, and for him all there are nails. Okay, so that's the mainly reason why we focus on as a production platform. And now we're going to see about hyperledger Besu. Well, there are different reasons here. We can go through economical reasons, we can go technological. One of the most important reasons was that it was a technology that already we know across all the Alastria partners. Also, Alastria has experience taking this type of blockchain, so that was really important. Also, it was a really good thing about Hyperledger Besu that it has implemented the SECP 256 R1 curve. This means that this is the curve that is supported by the NIST, and for a lot of regulatory and compliance things, this curve is necessary. Another interesting thing about Hyperledger Besu that also we have to think that, well, it's an Ethereum claim and an Ethereum virtual machine compatible, is that it has proof of authority. We think that for a project like this type that is going to be really related with the public and the private institutions, but the public has an important part, we need the governance and we need to have a controlled participation. Okay? Then, more reasons to take Hyperledger Besu and why we didn't modify it is because we feel that if we start the modification of Hyperledger Besu, we were going to have a lot of problems to maintain and overheat the software. So we took the decision of when we talk about the ISBE client, we are talking about Hyperledger Besu node, but a lot of different components around that make and give powers to the ISBE client or to the blockchain of ISBE to be able to be, how to say, regulatory compliance, okay? So with that, we also make that Besu kept upgradable. When there are going to come new updates, we are going to be able to take them without any problem. And also, another interesting thing about Besu is that it's written on Java. So, well, if in the future we have to start working with it, also it's a language that we feel comfortable with it. Okay, so, well, I think that's a little bit all for my part. I don't know if you have any questions. We can see you later. And thank you for all.
Okay, so thank you very much. As my colleagues have presented before a little bit and hinted about the regulatory compliance of the blockchain, here I'm going to expand a little bit on this concept. Well, I'm going to enter in these regulatory specifics. Just don't be scared, okay? It's, I think, one of the main aspects of ISBE. One of the most important ones regarding all the structures. So what makes ISBE regulatory compliant is the fact that it's a qualified electronic ledger. So this is a concept that is defined by implementation acts in EI-2. Okay, we will get to that later also. And basically what it provides is the legal presumption of all the registered information in the blockchain. This means that all the data that is stored in it has this legal value in courts, and they assume that the data inside of it, unless proven opposite, is going to be right, is going to be correct. This gives an extra layer for tamper evidence, makes it more easily auditable, and in order to make it work like this, it has to comply with several cryptographic aspects, as before Miguel has mentioned. That is, they have to be under the European Union standards, the R1 elliptic curve that he has mentioned before. So what are some of these challenges in order to be qualified? It has to be compliant with the ISO 307 international standards for DLT. It's basically, this sets a series of aspects, such as, for example, interoperability between the blockchains. Also, this is going to be one of the aspects why it uses R1 in Bear and Q1 in other networks that compose all the ISBE network of networks, as Antonio said. And also, it allows a framework for audits and certifications, okay, under different cybersecurity regulations. So, just to mention why this cryptography R1 is the one that is used in the main network of ISBE in Bear, it's because this is the cryptography used by several legal regulations, the one that is approved by them, more specifically, It's using PKI infrastructures, it's using hardware like the different trust execution environments, it's used also in certificates, and it's because the way that is generated different from how Koblitz elliptic curves are, which are not fully, their parameters are not fully randomly generated, okay? This one does it, and this is why, because the regulation accepts it as it is. One difference very important of ISBE from other Ethereum virtual machines, since Fusaka was added very recently to the EVMs, is that Fusaka only verifies, okay, it's pre-compiled, this cryptographic algorithm, but in ISBE it's fully implemented in the nodes, which makes it more compliant with this cryptographic algorithm. This brings some advantages. That means basically that by using ISBE, you are ensuring this European regulation compliance, brings more legal clarity to the service providers, to the users inside of it, and also, as my colleagues have mentioned before, because all the actors inside of it are identified by these decentralized identifiers, it makes it easier also to prove that know your customer, know your business, that the anti-money laundering regulations also make necessary to comply. So I have mentioned before the EI-2 regulation. This regulation basically what states now, like the two, okay, these two after EIDAS is, it introduces the concept of the European Union decentralized entity wallet, and also the concept of verifiable credentials. And the thing is that the fact that ISBE is a qualified, okay, electronic ledger, anchoring these credentials on this type of blockchain brings this qualified timestamp into them. At the same time, it makes them interoperable with all this framework of EIDAS. It also allows for the revocation of them and brings this qualified answering for digital identity, that it can be about academic certificates, medical records, passports. But at the same time, because we're talking about personal data is never stored on chain, obviously, because one of the rights inside of the general data protection regulation is the right to erasure. So as my colleagues also mentioned before, there is some filtering at the ISBE client level that allows to filter transactions, smart contracts, blocks, everything, in order to avoid data being introduced inside of the blockchain. This means that what we can make into the blockchain is the attestation, like a proof, like for example, a hash generated with some salt or key in order to make it fully anonymized inside of the blockchain, while keeping the privacy of the original data outside of the blockchain, allowing to have traceability and immutability of the attestation of this information. And now a pair of regulations that go pretty much together. One of them is the networks and information systems that basically it defines this security framework for critical sectors. And given that ISBE is used in several sectors that we are going to talk also later about finance, it's needed to be implemented and to provide this confidentiality, integrity, availability, traceability, and to add this layer of supervision and execution of monitoring, detecting, and notifying. And this is why also the use of Prometheus, Grafana, Velero in order to do so, all the potential vulnerabilities or risks that could be happening inside of the network in order to be compliant with the European Union security overall and the risk management of it. In parallel, because after all, this is a project that happens in Spain, it's true that it's also compliant with the Esquema Nacional de Seguridad. This scheme is basically also another framework used in public administration, electronic media that is used inside of it, that specifies that all these characteristics have to be present in these IT products. So some of the challenges again are the fact that it does not only apply to the blockchain, but it also applies to the nodes, or how the private keys of the users are generated and are managed. This is why also there is a role definition at the level of every user to specify what every user can do or what they cannot do in the blockchain of ISBE, the networks of ISBE. Another regulation that it's, I think, pretty interesting, because decentralized finance is, I will say, the main use case or the biggest use case right now in Ethereum-based blockchains. Tokenization also. So the fact that ISBE is compliant with the Digital Operational Resilience Act, it brings this layer of compliance to decentralized finance that allows banks also to be onboarded, for example, to this network, because of this more legal framework versus other public blockchains. Basically, what this regulation does is to define several recovery times, etc., from disruptions that could happen, time of response, and to ensure that the availability of the network is precisely good enough to provide the financial use cases, because after all, if you cannot operate in a marketplace, all the financial use case is gone. So ISBE is compliant with this. There are specifications and with to make sure that the network, because it's decentralized also, it's always almost like always operable, available, and it's not going to be down for more than the time specified. And just to mention a little bit, even if it's been mentioned before, but because of the aspects that matter to it regarding MiCA, the native token, as they have my colleagues mentioned, it's a utility token, okay? This means that it's not speculative. It has a fixed price, not like a stable coin, okay? Because it doesn't work like that. It just means that it has always the same price, in the sense of you can buy a certain quantity of this token by a specific quantity of money, for a specific quantity of money, and it's going to represent a proportional computational power in the network. So its use is only for gas fee payment, and once it's used, it's burned, to make sure that if you need to use more computational power of the network, you have to buy a little bit more of this native token. And that's all what this is about. This way we make sure that we are MiCA compliant, and that it's not a security token, and it's not a promise of future value of ISBE or Alastria or anything like that. The rewards that are given to the validator nodes are proportional to the tokens that are bought. They are not paid directly with a native token in order to avoid some kind of double spending, in the sense, not in the typical sense that we understand, but in the sense that if you use this token to pay for a specific computational power, another user, even if it's a validator, will not be able to do it also. So they are paid proportionally to the tokens that are bought in order to be used. So just to summarize a little bit, as you can see, by being compliant with all this regulation, ISBE provides a stronger base for digital identity, also for regulated NFTs, that it could be, for example, real estate. It could be fractionalized NFTs of real estate or complete ones. Also for audit logs, provided legal timestamping, that it has value in courts. A very strong use case for finance, and for every kind of supply chain, or that whatever kind of information that needs to be proven in the blockchain and that its origin matters. It could be AI datasets, Internet of Things characteristic of the gadgets using it, logistics, energy, and sustainability origin, so all this. So thank you so much. This is my contact. I have left a more formal contact, like my enterprise one, okay, from Digital DS. And also, if you prefer a more Web3 approach, this is also my Twitter, if you prefer that one. So thank you so much.
Hi you all, I'm Miguel Calera. I'm the lead of Marine Technologies as a Service, but also chairman at Alastria, chairman at ISBE, but also expert in decentralized technologies in ISO, Senelec, and UNE, that is the Spanish regulator, the Spanish standardization body. So one of the main challenges that we had in ISBE was really that we wanted to reduce the reputational risk for the participants, for the use case, for the business providers, but also to bring some kind of identification and to automate the onboarding process. Probably some of you have already tried some other institutional networks. I'm thinking especially in Pepsi, that was working a lot with them in the past. And most of the time, the onboarding to that kind of services are really a pain in the ass. And, really depend on some technical people to guide you through the process. Okay, so what we try to do here is to fully automate that. So on one side, ensuring that everyone participating is identified, authorized, and aligned with the IDS2, and implementing an automated and verifiable on-chain process. One question is that right now, due to compliance matters, also regarding regarding privacy, as Antonio mentioned in the first slide, as Pablo mentioned in the first slide. Business providers are not allowed to be individuals. Okay? Right now, only individuals can act through a use case provider. Okay? They can access directly to the faucet to receive cash and so on. Okay? Only companies and legal entities can go through the onboarding process. So be clear to deploy smart contracts or use gas. So in that case, this onboarding process is all, only for legal entities. In the end, what we're proposing is mostly focused on businesses. So we don't see a problem here. Indeed, what we are doing, making it more professional and making institutions and companies more comfortable, knowing that everything happening is really, we can identify who is doing anything. So if there is any malpractice or any abuse of the network, can be advised. So why this involvement? This involvement has like a four sides approach. One is legal compliance, so you need a certificate from a Spanish business registry to onboard. You can also get a certificate, a certificate from a different European QTSP. Mostly in Spain, it's widely used. We know that in other countries in Europe are not that widely used. Okay. Second, so that covers the legality of the operation. Regarding operational compliance, because we are using right now a certificate, but we've been involved in some piloting with personal identification data, and we're working actively in UDI wallet. So we're working with the Spanish business registry and other European business registries on covering how the business wallet will interact with ISBE. But also the chain compliance. So we really release a register, a DID document that has the EIDA certificate and also the VAT ID in the DID document, also as other organizations require. So we can this DID document can be both updated but also revocated. Regarding delegation and control, every person acting on behalf of the company that has onboarded ISBE receive a verifiable credentials. So we can identify who is the person involved on the operation, avoiding like business email compromise attacks or any other cyber attack that is related to credentials. Okay, so this is a registration process. The company has a company certificate. There is a CLI, a command line interface to generate the AOA that is generated totally off chain. There is another CLI to generate the ISBE, the centralized identifier. With that, you can obtain a verified credential for the legal representative that can issue a number of verified credentials for employees, for example, technical representatives. And once you have the EOA and the ISBE, you can generate a DID document that is linking the DID, the external owner account, and the certificate, the IDAS certificate all together. So we know the identity of the company, of the organization acting in the blockchain in ISBE. Okay, but also we know who, on behalf of the company, is accessing the portal. They already showed you. Yeah, this is the process. I think the video is playing. Can you see the video playing? No. Hi? It's not playing, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's because of it. Okay, anyway, we'll do that. It's really easy, so we will, somehow comparing it gets stuck like an image. Okay, so anyway, so you have of the foundational pieces in ISBE to build a trust framework based on the IDAS2, but not the IDAS2. We're not giving a platform to build qualified credentials, but only non-qualified credentials. Okay, so the model is based on the edition identifiers, EIDAS certificates, indeed X509 certificates. The communication is done in OpenID Connect for verified credentials for verified representations. Right now, the credentials are issued in the W3C with SDJ format, and for the status list, using breach status list. It's the same stack that was used in EPSI in the past, but I think except the status list that were bitstream, and right now we're using breach. That are probably the evolution of that. So this stack, Alastria is pushing for creating a standard, both at European level and global level, and will be probably releasing the standard at Spanish level. So every credential issued on top of this framework will be able to be issued to the EUDI, Spanish EUDI wallet, hopefully to other EUDI wallets in Europe. And also, as we are involved in some piloting, we build pilot, we are getting the best of all the knowledge from EUDI business wallet and embedding here. So this is the core identity for managing ISBE, but you can extend, you have all the smart contracts and all the technology there, so you can extend to multiple use cases, okay? It's also aligned with the Web3 ecosystem, because the identifier, all the identity management on chain is based on the identifiers, not in AOAs, and you can rotate your key pair as soon as you want. And is fully integrable in the T-Rex on-chain ID, stack. Okay, so fully compatible with commercial wallets. So what we're offering, a digital identity framework validated with large-scale pilots in Europe, a reference implementation for a hardware wallet, and a connector for users and verifiers, and an interoperability test for identity and wallet providers that will be published soon in ISBE. There are a lot of opportunities. You can see some of them. I'm not gonna, probably if you're working already in identity, you can resonate with some of them. But public sector and corporate are really interested in that. That were like the more Web2 opportunities for ISBE, and these are the most Web3 opportunities for using this kind of legally compliant identity on ISBE. Okay, so ISBE enables verifiable identity and chain compliance that unlocks public service, regulated digital markets, and innovation. So you can focus more on building and less in regulation. Okay, and that's all.
Okay, thanks, Miguel, for your presentation. And yeah, now we don't have too much time left, but let's see if you, the audience, usually would be the teams, have any questions to our speakers, I mean.
Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon. I just wonder, okay, it's super interesting, this presentation. It's super interesting regarding the ISBE network. But I'm wondering how it can be, because I see it in Spanish completely, the web page. It's not in English. This is my question. And how I mean, non-Spanish people, speaking
Well,
people can let's say deploy or employ, or it's really open, or I don't understood how we can at least experiment with this network, if it's possible. I mean, to the others in the European community, of course.
Thank you for noticing, and to giving us, whipping us because we need it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. You can translate with Google,
Yeah,
but
okay.
because if it's rich in terms of interaction, probably will be not, it's not fully translated. Anyway, I think we're weeks, if not days, from publishing the English version of the website. Definitely, right now we have three environments. Two blockchain networks. One is purely qualified DLT. Regarding IDAS 2, it's prepared to be one, because right now there is no agency qualifying that. But anyway, we're in the process of that. So one is purely P256, as I think both Pablo and Maria mentioned. So that is more for probably institutional use cases, and you can't use the usual Wi-Fi stack. But in the other one, the main network, we have three environments. That is, Dep, Pre, and Pro. So you can use Pre as a pre-production environment, as a test environment. So we can give you any access that you need. Okay.
Yeah, you need to think that this is it was born as a Spanish project, and we will building this with the public administration here in Spain. So the first delivery is in Spanish, and we are in the early stages of the project. But of course, it will be translated to English as soon as possible. But consider that this is the first month of the network.
It's the first month. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It was open, or the delivery of the code of the project itself. It was delivered in the last days of December. So the first project that we had selected in the past, they are starting deploying their projects, but we need to choose you. We need to do an onboard process with you. Yeah, CIF is for companies, of course. This, as we mentioned, this space for companies to build things also side to side with public administrations. So I hope all of you have things to deploy in ISBE. I think we can close the session for today. So I really appreciate to be here with you today and to to have been part in all of these plenaries in Trustchain. Thanks again to my colleagues and speakers of today's sessions, Maria, Antonio, and both Miguel Calero and Miguel Gomez. And thanks to all of you and the whole team of Trustchain.